Hi, this is Michelle Medrano. Welcome to another episode of Contemplate This, where we contemplate your spiritual questions. Today I want to address a question that came in from someone who watched our previous episode on why do bad things happen to good people. So thank you for your comments and questions. We do read them, and today I want to respond to that. If you want to go back and watch that episode, you certainly can. And today she asked a question about the dark night of the soul, and how do we view that in our teaching? And that's a wonderful, wonderful question, because every being goes through times of what we might call darkness, pain, suffering, conditions not going our way, even heavy emotions, heavy times of sadness or grief or disappointment or depression. And so in our teaching sometimes, because we're such a positive teaching along the lines of positive psychology and so upbeat and always looking to create thoughts that are good, those of us who've experienced those dark times can tend to feel a little bit embarrassed, ashamed, or even left out of a teaching like this, because we think and we assume that everyone else at church today or everyone else who's watching these episodes is happy-go-lucky and I'm suffering. And so we feel that we don't belong. We feel a sense of disconnect. But what I want to say in today's episode is that I know every single human being I have ever encountered has gone through dark times, sad times, deeply disappointing times. And so I want to state clearly that everyone goes through these. And it's never that you go through something like that makes you an inferior human being or a bad metaphysician or a horrible science of minder. It's really acknowledging that we do have these times when we struggle to feel our happiness or our compassion or our joy. And what do we do with that? That's really the important question. How do we deal with that? And not to deal with it so that we can solve it and get back to being happy, even though that I believe is our truest state. So the thing that I think is really important is that we recognize that these dark emotional times, the dark nights of the soul that philosophers have talked about, are deeply introspective opportunities. And I know for me personally, I will say I have gone through deep periods of melancholy. I've had sad things happen to me in my life. I've struggled with anger and resentment and unforgiveness, and they've consumed my days. And I've had times when it's been everything I could do to show up and appear to be functional in my workplace or even in my ministry because I'm going through a challenge. And what I've found is that that's normal. It's normal to feel these feelings. And what we can do with them is to use them to move forward, to say that this is a part of the terrain of the wholeness of me, that the wholeness of every human being is their joy and their triumphs and their sorrows and their sadness. And that we can embrace them as fully as we do all of the other emotions and choose to embrace them, to hear what they have to tell us, to be fully present in them, to grow through them, to become closer to spirit. So I find for me that times like that really are helped by journaling, writing out everything I'm feeling in a book that I can read or that I can feel that I'm expressing, talking to someone, having a good friend or confidant that you can really say what you need to say, or a therapist or a practitioner prayer partner, being able to find a support group where other people are going through some of the things that we're going through so that we can see that we're not alone. And all of this is about processing and being with it so that we can continue to evolve, because these times are very important to our evolutionary journey, and they can't be discounted. They can't be depressed. In fact, depressing them and putting them down, I think, is a huge cause of continuing to experience more depression because we're pushing them down. So they're an important part of our soul's journey. If you're in a dark night of the soul, if you're going through sadness right now, please know that we're here at Mile High Church to help and support you. We've got lots of support in our prayer and care center for grief, for divorce, for emotional challenges. We've got people and programs and processes here to support and embrace you in any state you're in. Thank you so much for that great question. And I hope that today for all of you continues to be a day of great blessings. And again, keep those questions and comments coming. Thanks so much for tuning in.